If you love sensual billionaire romances where intimacy grows in silence, where proximity matters more than touch, and where one quiet night changes everything, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell so you never miss a new story. The board review is scheduled to end at 9. That's what everyone expects. By 9:30, the building is almost empty. By 10, it's just the two of us. I notice the shift not because anyone announces it, but because the air changes. The soft hum of the lights. The way the city outside the glass walls looks less impressive when no one's left to admire it. I sit beside him at the long conference table, my tablet open, reports lined up neatly, numbers waiting to be discussed. Julian Ashford hasn't looked at a single one in 10 minutes. White, early 40s, dark blonde hair brushed back with the kind of precision that suggests discipline rather than vanity. He's still in his suit jacket, sleeves buttoned, posture perfect, but something about him feels paused. He leans back slightly, fingers steepled, gaze fixed on the skyline rather than the screen in front of him. "You can go," he says calmly without looking at me. "I was asked to stay until the review was complete," I reply. "It is complete," he says. I don't move. "That wasn't the instruction I was given," I add evenly. That finally gets his attention. He turns his head, just enough to look at me directly. His eyes are sharp gray, observant in a way that makes most people straighten unconsciously. "You're not intimidated," he says. "I'm efficient," I reply. A pause. Then quietly, "Sit." "Already am." Something about that makes the corner of his mouth tighten. Not irritation. Interest. The reports remain untouched. Minutes pass. Then more. I glance at the time. "If you'd like, I can summarize the final projections." "No," he says. I look at him. "No. Not right now," he replies. "Tell me what you think instead." "That's not my role," I say carefully. "You've been listening for 4 hours," he counters. "You've formed an opinion." I consider him for a moment before answering. "I think the numbers don't matter tonight," I say. His gaze sharpens. "Explain." "They already made up their minds," I reply. "This review is about reassurance, not data." Silence stretches between us. Then he exhales slowly. "Exactly." That admission feels more intimate than it should. From that point on, the meeting shifts without ever officially ending. He doesn't ask me to leave. I don't ask why. We sit beside each other as the city darkens fully outside, lights blinking on like something owned rather than admired. The table between us feels too long now. The distance unnecessary. "You don't feel silence," he says eventually. "I don't fear it," I reply. "Most people do," he says. "I've learned it usually means something important is happening," I answer. He turns fully toward me this time. "That's inconvenient," he says. "For who?" I ask. "For me," he admits. I should be looking at the reports, at the numbers, at anything but the way his attention has narrowed, focused entirely on me like the rest of the world has fallen out of relevance. Instead, I close my tablet. The sound is quiet, final. He notices. "You're done working," he observes. "Yes," I reply. "And yet you're still here." "Yes." Another pause. This one heavier. "You don't rush," he says. "I don't perform," I reply. Something shifts behind his eyes, something restrained, deliberate. "People perform around me all the time," he says quietly. "I know. And you don't," he adds. "No," I agree. "I don't need to." The clock ticks past 10:30. The building is silent now. "You could leave," he says. "I could," I agree. "But you're not," he says. "No," I reply. He studies me like he's recalculating a risk he didn't anticipate. "Why?" he asks. I meet his gaze evenly. "Because you're not asking me to." That honesty lands heavier than flattery ever could. He leans forward slightly, resting his forearms on the table. The distance between us shrinks, not physically, but emotionally. "You don't treat me like a billionaire," he says. "I treat you like a man who's tired," I reply. For the first time since I've known him, Julian Ashford looks something close to undone. He glances away briefly, then back. "That's dangerous," he murmurs. "For you," I say. "Yes," he agrees. "For me." The board review is officially forgotten. We talk instead. Not about business. Not about numbers. About silence. About control. About the strange pressure of being listened to by too many people and understood by none of them. You're very still, he says at one point. I'm comfortable, I reply. Most people fidget when they're nervous, he says. I'm not nervous, I answer. No, he agrees. You're present. The word lingers between us. Present. The first touch is accidental. Or at least that's what it could be mistaken for. Our hands brush when he reaches for his glass of water at the same moment I move mine. The contact is brief, but intentional enough that neither of us pretends it didn't happen. Sorry, I say quietly. No, he replies just as softly. Don't be. He doesn't pull his hand away immediately. Neither do I. When we finally separate, the air feels charged, like something has been acknowledged without being named. I don't do this, he says. Do what? I ask. Let things unfold without control, he replies. And yet, I say gently, here we are. He exhales slowly like he's deciding something. Sit closer, he says. It's not a command. It's an invitation. I move one chair closer. Not touching. Not yet. The table no longer feels like a barrier. You didn't need to move, he notes. I wanted to, I reply. That seems to matter. He studies my face, the way someone does when they're trying to remember something they've only just realized is important. You don't want anything from me, he says. I want honesty, I reply. That's expensive, he says. I can afford it, I answer. The corner of his mouth lifts just slightly. You're dangerous, he murmurs. So are you, I reply. Just differently than you think. The clock slips past 11. He loosens his tie without comment. The gesture is small, but it changes everything. Less armor. More man. You should leave, he says. I should, I agree. Neither of us moves. If you stay, he continues, this stops being professional. It already has, I reply calmly. Silence stretches again, thick and intimate. Tell me to leave, I say. He doesn't. Instead, he reaches out, slowly, deliberately, and rests his hand on the table between us. Close enough that I feel the warmth of it. I don't want to rush this, he says. Then don't, I reply. Our eyes hold. The kiss when it comes is unhurried. Controlled. No hunger. No urgency. Just choice. When we part, his forehead rests briefly against mine. We didn't look at the numbers, he murmurs. No, I reply. We didn't need to. Later, when I finally leave the building, the city feels different. Quieter. Like something important has already been decided. Because that night, sitting beside the billionaire during a late-night board review, neither of us looked at the numbers. But we both saw everything else. And nothing about this will ever feel accidental again. The next morning, the building feels different. Not quieter. Not louder. Aware. I arrive early out of habit. Coffee in hand, my reflection faint in the glass as the elevators rise. I expect to feel awkward, uncertain, second-guessing what crossed the line and what didn't. I don't. Instead, there's a calm in my chest that wasn't there before. Like something unresolved has finally found its shape. Julian doesn't call. Doesn't text. Doesn't summon me. That restraint matters more than any gesture could have. When I see him again, it's late afternoon. He's stepping out of a meeting as I cross the corridor, his attention still half occupied with the people around him. Then he sees me. It's subtle, the way his shoulders relax, the fraction of a second where his focus narrows. He dismisses the others without hesitation. Walk with me, he says quietly. It's not a request, but it's not an order either. We move side by side through the hallways, the soft sound of our footsteps echoing against marble and glass. You didn't avoid me, he says. I didn't need to, I reply. And you didn't seek me out, he adds. No, I agree. That earns me a glance sharp with something like respect. You understand balance, he says. I understand boundaries, I reply. And when they shift, he stops just outside his office. Not inside it. Not closed away. Here where choice still exists. I meant what I said last night, he says quietly. About not rushing. I know, I reply. And about not controlling this. he adds. I meet his gaze. That's the part that matters. He exhales slowly, like someone releasing a habit they've relied on for too long. From then on, what grows between us is deliberate, measured. We don't hide, but we don't display either. We sit beside each other in meetings without touching, our proximity speaking louder than any gesture. He listens more when I speak. I notice when his patience wears thin before he does. Sometimes our hands brush when papers are passed or glasses are set down. Sometimes they don't. And that choice is everything. One evening, we find ourselves back in the boardroom again. Different review, different faces, same long table. When the others leave, he doesn't dismiss me. He waits. You could go, he says. I could, I agree. You're not, he observes. No, I reply. This time he smiles. Not polished. Not practiced. Real. I don't invite people into this space, he says. Not like this. I know, I reply. And yet you sit here like you belong, he adds. I tilt my head slightly. Maybe I do. The admission doesn't scare him. Steadies him. He moves his chair closer this time without asking. Not touching. Not invading. Just close enough. You don't need me, he says. No, I agree. I don't. And I don't need you, he adds. I look at him. Then why are we here? Because wanting something without needing it is rarer than power, he replies. That truth hums between us. The first time we spend the night together, it isn't dramatic. No grand invitation. No sweeping declaration. It's late. The city sleeps. We stand by the window, watching lights flicker far below. Stay, he says simply. I consider it. Then I nod. The intimacy is quiet, intentional, built on trust rather than urgency. When we wake, nothing feels altered, just confirmed. From that point on, the world doesn't need to know what we are. It doesn't get access. What matters happens in silence, shared glances across crowded rooms, the way his hand finds mine under the table when no one is watching, the way he listens when I speak like it costs him something not to. One night, weeks later, we sit again at that long boardroom table after everyone has gone. You changed how I sit in this room, he says. I glance at him. How so? I used to feel like I was above it, he replies. Now I feel grounded. I smile faintly. Careful. That almost sounds human. He huffs quietly. You're responsible for that. I didn't force it, I reply. No, he agrees. You sat beside me. He reaches for my hand then, not hesitant, not uncertain. Certain. I don't want this to be hidden, he says. It isn't, I reply. It's private. He nods. That's better. When I leave the building that night, the city feels familiar in a way it never has before. Not owned. Cheered. Because sometimes the most powerful thing two people can do is sit beside each other in silence and choose to stay.